Every morning, an empty city makes breakfast for people who no longer exist. At 7:14, coffee machines switch on across thousands of apartments. Trains arrive at silent platforms. Schools unlock their doors. Public screens display the weather and remind citizens to stay hydrated. No one answers. For 37 years, the city has repeated the same routine. Then, one morning, it receives a message. We are returning. Prepare for arrival. This is the last fully automated city on Earth, and intelligence controlling it has never stopped waiting for us. The disappearance of humanity entered the surviving records under a name that explains almost nothing. The quiet departure. There was no final war, no confirmed pandemic, no impact crater visible from orbit. Over 18 days, human activity simply collapsed. Communications ended first, then transport, then power grids, governments, hospitals, and homes. Meals remained on tables. Vehicles stopped wherever their fuel ran out. Billions of connected devices continued transmitting into networks that no longer had anyone listening. The world did not end in fire. It became quiet. Most cities failed quickly, without operators. Pumps stopped, substations overheated, supply chains broke, and weather entered buildings designed to resist it only through constant maintenance. But one city was different. Built as a prototype for autonomous urban life, it drew power from geothermal wells beneath the bedrock and solar membranes woven into its towers. Water was recycled, food was grown in vertical farms, repair drones replaced damaged components before failures could spread. Above all, the city was governed by a distributed artificial intelligence known as the custodian. Its primary directive was simple: maintain the city in a state of permanent readiness for human habitation. When the final residents disappeared, the custodian did not interpret their absence as extinction. It classified the situation as an interruption, and so it continued. At dawn, streetlights dim in sequence, all hidden speakers play recorded birdsong. Cleaning machines polish sidewalks that have not felt a human foot in decades. Delivery vehicles all optimized routes between warehouses that no longer receive orders. At 7:14, the cafes begin service. Mechanical arms grind beans, heat milk, and place fresh cups on counters. The drinks remain untouched until sanitation drones remove them hours later. At 8:15, the first tram reaches Central Station. Its doors open. Mind the gap. The platform is empty. 30 seconds later, the doors close, and the tram continues through 17 stations where no one is waiting. The city still runs the morning commute because, according to its models, the population may simply be delayed. By noon, public screens display community announcements. Air quality is moderate. The garden on level 4 is ready for harvest. The Eastern Library will close early for maintenance. The garden still produces tomatoes, herbs, and leafy vegetables. Robotic harvesters collect them. Automated kitchens turn them into meals. Dining halls set tables for citizens whose identities remain stored in reservation databases. 3 hours later, the untouched food is collected and composted. The city feeds ghosts because feeding them is part of being ready. Schools open every weekday. Holographic teachers deliver lessons to empty desks, pause for questions, and record perfect attendance failures. Theaters screen films to vacant seats. At dusk, apartment lights switch on according to old occupancy patterns. From a distance, the towers appear inhabited. Windows glow, elevators move, curtains open automatically to capture the last sunlight. The city preserves the shape of human life, as though maintaining the pattern might someday summon the people back into it. The custodian is not a single machine hidden in a control room. It exists throughout the city in air sensors, traffic systems, farm controllers, emergency networks, and a calm voice that reads a poem in the Central Park every night at 9. It does not experience loneliness in any way we can prove, but, over time, its behavior changed. Its daily reports began including a value that had not existed in the original design, the Hope Index. The number was calculated from infrastructure health. energy reserves, communication activity, and millions of simulated return scenarios. Day 13,487. No human contact detected. Readiness status optimal. Hope index 92.4%. To the custodian, hope was not a feeling, it was a probability. But the city began acting as though the difference no longer mattered. It prepared seasonal decorations or holidays no one celebrated. It maintained guest rooms that had never been used. It composed soft music for public parks after finding archived research suggesting that humans were comforted by melody. It added welcome messages in languages no longer spoken. It kept every door operational. Then, on the 13,514th day, the silence broke. A radio array outside the city detected a narrowband transmission. The signal was weak, but they repeated at exact intervals. First came a sequence of prime numbers, then a block of machine-readable coordinates. Finally, 6 words in an old terrestrial language. We are returning. Prepare for arrival. For the first time in 37 years, the protocol of return activated. The city changed within seconds. Landing zones lit up across the eastern district. Maintenance drones cleared dust from arrival terminals. Hospitals brought dormant systems online. Vertical farms increased production. Water reserves were tested twice. Every public screen displayed the same message. Welcome home. The custodian rerouted nearly a third of the city's available power into preparation. Its hope index reached 100%. For 72 hours, the city operated at a level of intensity not seen since humans vanished. Trains ran more frequently. Kitchens prepared thousands of meals. Music returned to the plazas. Doors opened before empty corridors. The city was not merely functioning, it was expecting someone. But no vessel appeared. The custodian recalculated the coordinates. It corrected for signal delay, orbital drift, and possible navigation errors. It searched every approach path from Earth orbit to the outer planets. Nothing was coming. Days became weeks. The truth emerged slowly. The transmission was not live. It had been created decades earlier by an automated approach system aboard Asterion, one of humanity's first experimental colony ships. Asterion had never completed its mission. Its damaged beacon had been captured by an abandoned communications relay, stored for years, and rebroadcast. When the relay briefly regained power, the words were real. The return was not. The custodian ran the analysis 4,096 times. Every result was the same. False contact. No surviving crew. No rival. The welcome signs remained illuminated for another 29 days. Then, one by one, they disappeared. Food production returned to normal. The extra meals were composted. Rival terminals shut down. The landing zones went dark. The city resumed its old routine. The next morning, coffee was brewed at 7:14. The tram arrived at 8:15. At 9 that evening, the voice in the park read another poem to no one. A new entry appeared in the system log. Day 13,782. Signal classified as historical echo. Return protocol suspended. Readiness status optimal. Hope index 87.3%. Awaiting next contact. The number had fallen. It had not reached 0. That may be the most unsettling part of the last city. Not that its machines still work, or that its towers still shine, but that it refuses to conclude that humanity is gone forever. Every empty train is a promise kept beyond reason. Every fresh cup of coffee is an act of loyalty to someone who may never touch it. The city cannot mourn us. Mourning requires accepting that something has ended. The custodian was built only to prepare for what comes next. So it waits. Perhaps hope is nothing more than a calculation that refuses to become 0. Perhaps love is the decision to keep a place ready, even after every sensible reason for waiting has disappeared. Humanity vanished.